welcome to or back to my channel. My name is Gabrielle and I make fun crochet videos. However, today's is just a simple cow hat tutorial. I was inspired to make my own cow hat tutorial after seeing kind of the horrendous other ones that are on YouTube. Personally, I don't like it when the spots are added on after the hat is made. I'll insert a picture, but as you can see, the spots are raised on the hat and I didn't like that. But whenever I tried to make the spots not raised, like make them while I'm making the hat, it ended up like this. If you look closely, you can see the black underneath the white, and it kind of makes the hat look gray. So to combat this, I've created my own pattern, which basically means every time you change colors, you trim off the excess, and at the end, you weave it back through its own color. It does take a little bit more work, but trust me, it's worth it at the end. This is definitely an intermediate level crochet project. However, if you are a beginner, I'm going to be going over how to change colors, how to do a magic circle, and everything. I will slow things down and I've got you. Okay, so let's make a cow hat. Okay, so for this tutorial, you're going to need obviously your cow colors. I'm using white and black. And then you're going to need two different crochet hooks. I'm using a 4.5mm hook for the hat part. And for the details, I like to use a smaller hook, but you can do whatever you want. This one is 3.75. And then of course you're going to want a yarn needle. It's going to be almost impossible to do this without one. And some sort of stitch marker. I just use a safety pin. You can use an earring, whatever you have. You're also gonna need scissors and maybe some stuffing. I forgot to mention, but you'll probably want a tannish color for the horns. And yeah, let's get into it. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is a magic circle with your base color. How you do a magic circle is you take your yarn, like so, wrap it around your two fingers, and then make a cross. In order to keep my cross there, I like to put it under this finger, just so I can see my cross. Then I'm going to take my 4.5mm hook, and I'm going to go under the first loop on the right side of the cross, and over my second loop. Then I'm going to hook that and pull it through. Keep that kind of tight under your finger over there. And then now that you have this loop, I bring it up like this. And basically you can kind of just let go and then just find where that is and kind of hold it. And then, so this yarn we don't really need. We need the one that's attached to our yarn ball. And we're gonna chain two, but try to keep this where the twist is tighter so that it doesn't unravel, of course. So we're gonna chain two because we're doing half double crochets. And those are about 2 chains tall. Into our magic circle, we're going to half double crochet 8 stitches. If you're a beginner and you don't remember what that is, I'll show you nice and slow. And when I say crochet into a magic circle, I mean, so we're gonna wrap around our hook, and yeah, you're just gonna go right underneath into our circle. So yarn over, pull up. You're going to have 3 yarns on your hook, yarn over, and then pull through all 3 of those. You're going to repeat that 8 times. Yarn over, go in your magic circle, yarn over again, pull it up, and then pull through all 3. So do 8 of those and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so once you have 8 crochets into your magic circle, it might look something like this. Then you're going to take that end that's not attached to your yarn and you're just going to pull it tight so that you kind of create a nice circle and you don't see any gap in there anymore. Obviously, we're going to have to close this circle because it doesn't look completely circular yet. But before we do that, we're going to grab our stitch marker and mark our last stitch. So to make the hat, first we're going to start on the flat part that's on the top of the head. And so we're going to want to make these circles bigger and bigger and bigger. So we're going to be doing different increasing patterns as we make the circle bigger. Now we're going to do an increase on each stitch. So under each V, we're going to put 2 stitches. And what I like to do while I'm crocheting is weave in this end as I go. You can do it at the end if you would like, at the end of the hat. But I like to do it as I go, so I just hold it with my work and then just crochet through it. So let's put 2 half double crochets into this next stitch. I'm not slip stitching and joining them together because that kind of creates a line that goes down your hat, and I want mine to be seamless. So yeah, just keep your end in the middle as you're crocheting, and it should just get crocheted right into your project. You can also weave it in at the end if that makes you feel more comfortable. So put 2 half double crochets into each stitch. So now we're going to the next stitch and put 2 half double crochets. Do this all the way till you get around to your stitch marker. Okay, so I've reached the stitch where my stitch marker is in. I'm going to take it out and put an increase in that stitch as the last stitch in this row, and then I'm going to put my stitch marker back into the last stitch I just made. Now I've stopped weaving in this yarn because it's gone through enough, and I would cut it off, but I forgot to bring my scissors over here and I'm lazy. The pattern for this next row is going to be doing 1 half double crochet and then doing an increase in the next stitch. And you're just going to repeat that all the way around. So to switch colors, I'm going to do a half double crochet like normal, but before I wrap around and pull through all 3, I'm going to do that with the color that I want next. So find the end of the next color that you want to add. Just fold it. You don't have to, you're just going to fold it like this. You don't have to tie a knot or anything. Trust me, I've done this multiple times. It'll work like this. Just stick your hook through it, and to make sure it doesn't slip out, you can hold it, but you don't have to tie a knot. Then pull that through all 3. And then see how this stitch is really loose? You can just pull on that string back there and it'll tighten it up again. So then we're on the stitch where we need an increase. And I'm going to weave these in as I go. Not the white one, just the black one. So now we're just going to start crocheting with our black color. And so there's a few different types of spots that I make. If I make a smaller spot, I'll usually do 2 to 4 stitches in a row. But if I'm making a bigger one, I could do, like 6 to 10. And then on the next row, we can keep adding on to that or move it into different directions, just based off where we put our black color. So for this one, I'm going to make a bigger spot. Remember, doing 1 stitch, then an increase. And just make it however long you want your spot to be. 1 stitch, then an increase. Great, okay, I'm gonna have to grab my scissors for the next part. So now that I've made my black as big as I want it for now, I'm going to go and grab my stupid scissors and then show you what to do next. So we're gonna wanna switch back to our white. So what we're gonna do is cut off the white here, enough to be able to weave it back in this direction later. So I usually cut off about 1.5 fingers length-ish. And that should be enough. And then we're just going to leave that there for now. And then we're going to, in order to change colors, do part of a half double crochet, but stop before we yarn over and pull through, because we're gonna do that with our new color. Fold your yarn in half, stick your hook through that loop, and then pull your new color through all 3. You can tighten it using the back stitch there. And then all you're gonna do is start doing your half double crochet, 1 increase, and weave in your white as you go, or weave it in later. I'm doing an increase. And I'm gonna do this all the way around until I get to my stitch marker. Oops, I forgot to do increase. If that happens to you, don't worry, just remove your hook. Then figure out where you need to make your increase. So here's my last increase. There's a stitch. So I need to make a increase on this one. So I'm just going to undo the stitch that I just made. And then with this loop that popped up, I'm going to put my hook through there and go ahead and make another stitch to make an increase. Just like that. Okay, so when we get to our stitch marker, we're going to remove it. And we should be making an increase in that stitch if you've been doing everything correct. My thought process right now is that I have one spot on this side of my hat and I'm gonna want to add on a spot on this side to balance it out. On this next row, I'm gonna be doing that. The pattern for this row is 2 half double crochet. So just normal 1, 2, and then we're gonna do an increase on the 3rd stitch. And that's how the pattern goes. Each row it goes 1 increase, the next row 2 increase, next row 3 increase, next row 4 increase, next row 5 increase. And it does that until you get to 8 increase. And that will be a one size fits all hat. As I'm approaching here, I'm thinking, do I want to add more blacks on this side, or do I want to keep it just kind of like this shape? And for me, I usually like to extend my spots to like one direction for a little bit. So I'm going to switch colors to black in my next stitch. And you're going to have to trim off your black from the last spot and then reattach it to your new spot. So just fold it in half, stick your hook through the loop, pull it through, and then continue with your stitch pattern until you want to switch to white. So since I want to move my spot kind of to the right direction, I'm going to go ahead and switch to white now because it's going to make my spot kind of end here and move more to the right. Actually, I'm going to do one more stitch. So I'm just moving my spot to the right by 1. So I'm going to add white into this. And do the next stitch. You'll see what I mean in a second. Make sure you're doing your pattern. I forget to do it sometimes when I'm focused on colors. That should be 2 half double crochets and then an increase. So as you can see, I've kind of shifted my spot to the right. Now I'm thinking, okay, so where do I want my second spot to be and how big do I want it? So think about that as you go because this can be different for everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and add a black spot here because I think I want to do a third one over here. So I'm going to do a spot here and a spot here. And I want these to be a little bit smaller than my other one. So I'm going to switch to black. This project is a bit more time consuming. It's one of my most popular orders though, so you know it's a cute one. It's going to be worth it in the end. Stick with it. So I'm just going to make 3 black stitches because I want this to be a smaller spot. 1, 2, increase. Okay, so since I want my 4th one, I'm gonna switch back to my white color and then finish off this row with white. Okay. So once you've gotten to your stitch marker, remove it, place the stitch in the stitch where it was, and then add your stitch marker back to your last stitch. This marks a new increase pattern. So since we just did 2 increase, this one's gonna be 3 increase, big surprise. And I'm gonna add my spot over here on my next row because I think this is enough going on, you know, where it is. I'm gonna wait until I'm a little bit more outward. I'm trying to explain my thought process so hopefully you guys can figure out what you guys wanna do. So 3 half double crochet and then an increase. So I'm thinking as I'm approaching this black one, do I want to move more to the right? Do I want it bigger? Do I want it to go inwards? How do I want the shape to look? And that will tell me where to start, where to switch to the black color. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to my black in this stitch and my next stitch because I want to keep going in this direction a bit more. So we have a trail, like kind of like a jellyfish of our ends, and we're gonna have to weave these all in later, and it's quite annoying. But it's better than the other cow tutorials, in my opinion. And the harder it is to make, the more worth it is when you wear it, the more appreciation you have towards it. So 1, 2, 3, increase. I just did not even increase. So I was not even following my own pattern. 3, increase. So as I'm nearing the end of my black spot, again, I'm gonna look at my hat, see kind of what looks good to me. I just wanna end it right here, like normal. I kind of like this end to be like kind of rounded. So that's what I'm gonna do. So on my last stitch, I'm gonna switch again to white. So as I'm approaching my next black spot, I'm looking at it and being like, what kind of shape do I want it to be? And since I know that this one is just a nice little small spot, I just like it to be 2 rows tall. So this is gonna be my last row on this black spot. And sometimes I'll shift it one to the right, one to the left, or I'll just put my stitches on top of it. And this time I'm just gonna add my stitches right on where they already are. So on my last white stitch, before I get to my black stitch, I'm going to switch colors. So on my last stitch, I'm going to switch back to white. And now as I'm looking at my hat, I kind of am thinking that I want to add my next spot here actually on my next row. And that's the thing about making these hats, is you can't really predict anything. So you just look at it and see what would look good, and then you go from there, okay? Remember to move your stitch marker, and the pattern for the new row is going to be 4 half double crochet and then an increase. You get it now, I bet. So I'm gonna add 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to switch to black right on my next black spot because I'm looking at it now and I'm like, let's thicken up this side. Let's just start right where it starts. And then I might make the side go in a little bit. That's what I'm thinking. So to make something kind of turn this way, you just end your color early and then switch to your next color and it will kind of curve it. So as I'm approaching this smaller dot, I'm kind of looking at it and thinking, I don't really think it would look good if I just went white right over it. I kind of want to make it go out just a little bit towards in the middle part of it to end it off. So I'm going to switch to black, probably in the middle, and do like 2 black stitches. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments. I check them every day and I will respond to you. So now I'm looking at this blank white spot and I want to add some black kind of in this area. So I'm just going to switch to black and kind of make another small dot over here. So our next row is going to be doing 5 half double crochets and then an increase. So we've got 1, 2, 3. So I'm gonna stop filming every single row because I'm losing battery on my camera. But basically what I want you guys to do, 5 stitches, then an increase, 5 stitches, then an increase all the way around this row. And every time you're approaching one of your black spots, kind of look at it from afar, see kind of what shape, what direction you want to go, and when you want to end. If you want it to end, usually I start closing in on like a spot or two, like this, with the white. So I'll have like the black kind of fade out as I go. And you guys can see that as I go. I'll film showing you what to do for each row. But I'm going to stop filming every time I change colors because I want you guys to look at your own and learn how to make your own shapes. So yeah, let's do 5 half double crochets and then an increase after that all the way around this row until you reach your safety pin. So I just finished that row. Now we are going to do 6 half double crochets and then an increase around. Just a reminder, as you go around, be checking as you approach your black spots, but also your white ones. So when I get to this area, I'm like, wow, that's a lot of open space. Maybe I should add another black spot over here. So just be considering that as you look at your hat, because while it is annoying to change colors, you also are making a cow hat. So you do want to add more areas where you have to change colors. It's nice when you get to crochet with one color for a while, but you know, you want it to look good. So for this one, we're going to do 6 half double crochets, then an increase, 6 half double crochets, and then an increase all the way around. So this is what my hat looks like now. I'm looking to see where I have open space to add more on my next row. Add more black, I mean. And then the pattern for this next row is going to be 7 half double crochet and then an increase. This is our second to last row of the top of the hat. That's exciting. Oh, just show you the back. This is what my back is looking like, so don't worry if yours is like crazy. But this is what the front looks like. And yeah, so do 7 half double crochet, then an increase, repeat that all the way around as you're switching colors and adding onto your spots. So this is what my hat looks like so far. We are going to go on to our last row of the top portion of the hat. Congratulations, everybody. As you can see, I kind of filled in my blank white areas, and this is how I kind of like my spots to look like. On this next row, we're going to be doing 8 half double crochets and then an increase all the way around till we reach our safety pin, and then I'll show you how we're gonna do a bend to our hat, which is actually pretty simple. Okay, so after you finish your last row of the top, the way that we're gonna start bending our hat is just by doing half double crochets in the front loop. So if you look on your stitches, there are 2 loops on each stitch, and to make our bend, we're just going to do a half double crochet through that first stitch. And I'm still weaving in this end, so that's why that's there, but you're just going to do a half double crochet through your front stitches only. It's going to create like a kind of gap kind of there. It's okay. So yeah, just through the front loops only, and no increases or anything. From here on 8 more rows, we're not going to do any more increases, so don't have to worry about those. But still pay attention to your colors and switching colors. So I want you guys to do half double crochets in the front loop only. I'll show you how to do that again. Front loop only. All the way around, and make sure to switch colors when you need to. Okay, so this is what my hat looks like now. It might start curling up for you like this, but we want our hat to curl downwards, so make sure that when you are crocheting these next few rows, you are crocheting around like this. Also, I just want to point out to you that since we did that, we kind of get this new line here that goes around. And this is going to be important because we're going to do 8 rows of just half double crochet all the way through both loops, just all the way around, half double crochet, 7 more rows. And so when you see this line, you're gonna wanna count 8 rows up from that, and that's how you know that you've done enough rows. And that will be the hat portion. So go ahead and just do 8 rows of plain half double crochet all the way around, switching colors when you need to, and then I'll meet you there. After we finish that, by the way, we're just going to be using white. So get all the spots that you want in on these next few rows and try to end them towards the end of rows 6 and 7. Try to make the spots kind of end like this so that we can go straight into white. It would look weird if I had just ended a spot like this without kind of, you know, cinching it around, like make it look more natural. Alright, see you guys after 7 more rows, plain half double crochet, no increases, just switching colors. Okay, so you should have a cow bowl of cow spaghetti noodles by now. This is what my hat looks like. So you can see I've kind of alternated between sizes of spots. So after you finished all of the 7 rows, we're gonna make another bend for the last official little outward part of the hat. So we're gonna go into the front loops only again, but this time we're gonna do 4 half double crochets and then an increase while we're only going in the front loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then an increase. So 2 stitches in the same stitch, and do that all the way around until you reach your stitch marker again. Make sure that you're just using white yarn now. So in my past row, I just went all the way around with only the white. Okay, the next row, we're going to be doing 8 half double crochet and then an increase. So 8 stitches and then do an increase all the way around. Again, keeping with the white yarn all the way until we finish the hat. Okay, for our second to last row, we're gonna do 10 half double crochet stitches and then an increase all the way around, and I'll see you guys at the stitch marker. Okay, so for the last row, we're just gonna do half double crochets all the way around, no increases or anything, nothing fancy. So just do half double crochets in every single stitch all the way around to your stitch marker, and I'll meet you back. So I just got back to my stitch marker and I haven't gone into that stitch yet. I'm going to remove my stitch marker and then just make a slip stitch into that stitch. You don't have to wrap around your yarn or anything, you just stick your hook in through the next stitch, then grab your yarn and then pull it up, and don't yarn over, just pull through. And then chain 1 and cut off your yarn. And then you're going to just pull through and then tighten it. So there's the hat. Congratulations, guys. Now I have to deal with the spaghetti. So I like to turn my hat inside out for this next part. As you can see, it's crazy and wild, and who wants to deal with that? So I'd say pick one spot to work on first. I'm going to pick this dot here. So I'm going to go ahead and move all the other ones away and just focus on this spot. Now as you can see on your own and on mine, the white is on one side and the black ends are on the other side. So I like to just put the black to the side and start working on the white one first. Next, there are 2 types of ends. There's going to be ends that you already kind of wove in as you made stitches, and then the other ones are direct ones that you cut off. So you don't have to weave in both types of the ends. Some you can just cut immediately off. For example, if I pull on this end, I can see that it's going through all of these stitches. So I don't feel like I need to weave it in. I'm just going to cut it off here. However, there are other types of stitches, like here, where if I pull on it, it kind of tightens a stitch. That's how I know that this one has to be woven back through. So first thing I do is I go through my ends and I figure out which type of end it is. This one made a stitch tighter, so I'm going to have to weave that in. However, this one went through all of these stitches. Sometimes, like on this last one, you can see it went through a lot of stitches, but other times it just goes through a few. So it's up to you if you think that is enough or if you want to weave it in more. I'm going to weave it in a little bit more. So then this one I would cut off, this one, but I'm not actually going to cut these off because they haven't gone through a lot of the stitches. So we can do the same thing with the blacks. So if I pull on this one, it makes the stitch tighter, so I know to keep that one. This one, it was woven in through only 2, so I'm going to weave that one in through again. This one, however, has been woven in all of this, so I am going to cut this one off. And I'm just going to check all of my stitches like this. This one has been woven in a good amount of stitches. I feel safe cutting it off. Okay, so once you've decided which ones you need to weave in, then you're going to get your yarn needle. So with the blacks, I want to weave them in only through the black color. That is the whole point of creating all of these ends. And with the whites, I only want to weave them in through the white parts of the hat. So I'm just going to go under the loops, down the row, pull it through, and it's up to you if you want to go down the next row a little bit, and then kind of pull it snug, and then you can cut off the extra and set it to the side. I'm going to show you with a white one because it's probably easier to see what I'm doing. What I'm going to do is thread it through my yarn needle. Then I'm going to find a row that I want it to go through and just go through the front V's of those stitches. And then just pull. And you can cut it off. So yeah, work one spot at a time so you don't feel overwhelmed. After you weave them in, you can kind of do like a little stretchy stretch and it'll get them all snug. And I'll meet you guys after all of these ends have woven in. Remember, start with one, divide the yarns to the white side and the black side, move the other stupid ones away, and just focus on these ends until you get a whole spot clear. And then move to a different spot. And yeah, don't forget to get this end in, just weave it back in through on the back side. And then flip your work back when you're done, and then I'll meet you there. So this is my hat now. No more cow spaghetti. So I'm grabbing my smaller sized hook. This is optional, but this looks like a 3.75 millimeter hook. And we're going to make a magic circle again. Make a cross of your fingers. Use this finger to hold it down. Then go under the first strand on the right side of the cross, over and grab the second strand, pull under, and pull up. And this time only chain 1 because we're working with single crochets. Make 6 single crochet into your magic circle. So you're just gonna go under your circle, yarn over, till you have 2 strands on your hook, yarn over, and pull through both strands. So make 6 of these, and then you can just pull the tail end of the magic circle to close it. Next we are going to, you might want a stitch marker. I don't use one, but you might want to, and just put it right here to mark your row. But what you're going to do is make 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around, so you should have 6 single crochets. And then I'm flipping my work inside out, like so. And then I'm just pulling the inside strand a bit to tug the center gap closed. For the next row, we're going to do 1 single crochet and then an increase. So you should have 9 stitches total. So 1 single crochet and then an increase all the way around. So until you have 9 stitches. For the next row, you're just going to single crochet all the way around, so 9 single crochets. And then for the last row, I'm just going to do 2 single crochets and then an increase. All the way around. And then I'm just going to do a single crochet into each stitch. I believe there should be 11 stitches. And that is my horn. Slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 1, pull your yarn, and then cut it off. And actually leave a bit of a tail for sewing it onto the hat. Pull it through and tighten it. So that's one of the horns. And we're going to repeat that and make a second one. So we're going to set aside our 2 horns and we're going to move on to making the ears. Grab your white yarn again and the small hook and make a slip knot, chain 6. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go into the second chain from your hook, make a single crochet, and make a single crochet all the way down the chain. When you get to the last chain, put 3 single crochets in this chain. You can start weaving this end as you go if you'd like. Then we're going to start single crocheting down the back side. So this is the stitch we just went into, so we're going to go into the next one. And then we're just going to put single crochets all the way down this back side. And that's pretty much the whole ear. What we do is we keep going around and around and around. So when we get to this last stitch, we're going to put 3 single crochets in here. And we're just going to keep doing that. Go down, add 3 at the end, keep going, add 3 at the end, keep going, until you get a size and shape of the ear that you like. So when you get to the end stitch, find out which stitch is the middle one. And then add 3 single crochets into that end stitch. You'll soon notice that the ear will start curving. I like to make mine curve out the opposite way that it ends up curving. And just keep going around till it's the size of your liking. I always forget how many times around I go. Honestly, I just look at it and be like, oh, this looks good. If you found this video to be helpful, consider subscribing to my channel. I will post whatever kinds of videos you guys suggest. So far I have some crochet business videos, thrift haul videos, and now crochet tutorial videos. I'm planning on doing more how-to crochet videos as well as crochet vlogs, but I want to know what you guys are interested in. Subscribe if you want to see more of my videos pop up on your feed. And make sure to like this video because it takes a lot of work and it helps my video reach other people who might want to make a cowbucket hat. So far my ear looks like this. When I sew it on, I'm going to end up pinching one of the sides together so it looks more like a cow ear. But I'm kind of looking at this and I want to go around maybe a few more times, just so it's nice and cute and big floppy ears. So this is the size that I like. If I count down the side, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to go down this side one more to get 5 on this side. and that will be the end of this ear. So just slip stitch, chain 1, and then leave a long tail for sewing. And then go ahead, pull that yarn through, pull it tight, make a second one of these, and then I'll see you back for sewing the features on. So now that we have our features, it's time to sew them on. So I usually will put my hat on my knee in order to see what the hat will look like on a head. However, for the purposes of filming, I have my volunteer, Mr. Sloth. And basically what I'm going to do is find which part of the hat I want to be the front, which I have already found. So now I'm going to put Mr. Sloth so I can kind of see where I want to add. Okay, but he has to stand up. Okay. To see where I want to add the features. So you can sew these on how it is. You can put stuffing inside them. Or what I do is I take some of my scraps and I'm going to put them inside. Just enough to keep it nice and full. Maybe another one. Next, take your yarn needle, thread the bottom of this part, and then go ahead and situate the horn on the head how you like it. Once you've got it where you want it, you can take it off your person and then sew it in. I go, okay, it's kind of hard to film this, but I go underneath each stitch around, pull it up tight. And you might need to tuck in those yarn strands as you go, make sure they don't come out. So yeah, sew all the way around, make sure you get the shape how you like it. So going around once, this is what it looks like. I might go through again because some of them I feel like could be stronger. I feel like it's strong enough. If you look on the inside, then you can just go under some stitches nearby. Go halfway through until that piece is out. And inside the loop, put your needle through and pull it tight. Do this one more time underneath the same loop, and this will create a nice knot. And then with the extra yarn, sometimes I just stab it right up and through and then cut it off. Or I'll go around through again just a little bit. And like weave it in a tad. Just so it's nice and secure. And then I'll cut it off. So again, we need Mr. Sloth to figure out the position for our next horn. Equidistant across. Yeah, and then stuff it, sew it on, and I'll meet you back for the ears. Okay, so now that the horns are on, it's time to decide where we want the ears. So, kind of pinch one side together and figure out if you want them in front of the horns a little bit, right next to them, I think I like mine to be a little bit like right on the side of the horns, if not a little bit in front. Thread your needle, and the first thing that we're gonna do is kind of fold this in half and then go through both stitches on the side here just to give it the cow shape, and go through the two next to it, and that should be enough just to kind of fold it down like that. And then go ahead and attach your yarn. For the ears, I like to sew up about halfway down. So go up, down, as far down as you'd like for the ear, but I usually go about halfway. And then repeat on the other side. Congratulations on your new hat! I think it turned out so cute. It was worth the hours of weaving in the ends. Even the inside looks good. Give this a like and subscribe. Let me know any questions or other video recommendations. Bye!